Dad bods. Love them or hate them, people have them. Let's talk about them. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. And in today's episode of what has fast become the 10 minutes of unsolicited dating advice with Nick podcast, we're going to talk about the phenomena known as the dad bod. I was there when the ancient magic was written, when the dad bod phenomenon became a thing, in a satirical article written by a sorority member at some university or other. Essentially, basically a Barstool Sports type outlet. The guy who could slam a 30 rack, but also happened to be working out, and so he had nice arms. That was the dad bod of the time. It signified the guy who wasn't so obsessed with the gym to the point of unhealthiness. He could pay attention to his girl. Girl wouldn't be afraid of his raw, hinged masculinity, something like that. I don't know. I don't remember the article itself. But it's become this debate across the internet for what feels like eons, and at least a full decade since I've been out of college. A decade plus. Which is a terrifying thought. I don't like that thought. Banish the thought, but I've been out of college for a decade plus. So when we talk about the dad bod, we're talking about, let's be specific. Because we should be specific with our words. Words defined are how we speak, and so we must be precise in the language that we choose. The language I'm going to choose is that when a girl speaks of a dad bod, she's speaking of somebody who's just like a little out of shape, you know? They're not an Olympic track star. So what? That's not how the dad bod typically ends up looking. Now, there's a reason that in real life dads fall out of shape. It's not because dads are, slamming back 30 racks or eating whole pizzas and then also going to the gym. It's typically because they're going to work, they're helping raise the kids. They're fitting in time for their spouse. The dad's schedule fills up and time in the gym falls to the wayside. But I would say most girls wouldn't look for that on the first date. Now, young men, I'm speaking to you primarily here. Don't take this as me saying that girls only want you if you have a chiseled six-pack. That's not true. Your personality is and always will be the main determinant of whether or not a girl ends up liking you, perhaps falling in love with you, marrying you, etc., etc. But the dad bod phenomenon, it's almost a Rohrshach test for where you fall in society. There are men who are so opposed to the dad bod that they reveal a lot about themselves. Because typically that opposition is not just opposition, it's hatred. And I've discussed this before. We hate things we're afraid of. I hate it because you're afraid of the dark. I hate it. You're afraid of the wide open and quiet spaces. I hate New York City. The hustle and flow scares you. And it's okay. You're allowed to be afraid of things. But when you say you hate something, it gives you it's a tougher look on it. And we're totally in male psyche here at this point. I can't speak to girl psyche on this topic, I suppose. Men who strongly approve of the dad bod, they almost approve of it too much. They see the dad bod as the excuse they need to eat whatever they want, to not take care of themselves. They embrace it too hard. And all of a sudden, they're a man in their 20s or 30s who plays 18 hours of video games a day, doesn't get any healthy moves in their life at all, and believes that that is peak attractiveness. Fundamental truth of the matter, my friends. And this is, now we're switching. Now we're talking, ladies and gentlemen. Fundamental truth of the matter. Across a crowded bar, there is not one single person in the entire world who can look across a crowded bar or a crowded room or even across a dating app and say, gee, they look like they have a great personality. Nah, it's not a thing. I can't do it. It's not possible. You look across a crowded bar or an app or a room, what have you, and you say, wow, they've got a nice smile. Wow, they have pretty hair. Wow, he's got broad shoulders. So on and so forth. Dad bod may not quite fit into that equation. So when we think of dad bod, we have to sort of think carefully to ourselves. It is not something to be feared. Do not fear the dad bod, and by extension, do not hate the dad bod. If you are a dad and you have a dad bod, don't be ashamed of yourself. I would say, my advice, and unfortunately I haven't been a dad. I can't tell you have time in your day. But try to find some time. Bang out some push-ups, some sit-ups, some air squats, and be healthy. Set the example for your kids, for your wife, even for the friends around you. My brother, the trainer, would say that any positive move is a positive move. Maybe instead of having 3 slices of pizza, have 1. Maybe instead of having a pizza, have eggs or something. Add some more protein in. Something positive. Walk more. Take your wife on a stroll. To the young men who are not fathers, if you're starting to get a dad bod, don't. Like, you young men who are out there, 90% of you who are taking the time to listen to a 10-minute podcast, you have the time to do something active. Do something active, and that's a great start. My brother would say it's a great, anything you can do is a great way to start because it gets you moving. Then the next step you can take is to start doing the training, the progressive overload that leads to longer-term health benefits. There's all sorts of science and research out there you can find, all sorts of workouts you can find. If you're a young man and you're, either single, in a relationship, whatever, you can find and or make the time. It's important. It's important for you, and it's important for your long-term health outcomes as well as the long-term health outcomes of those around you. Because, as we know, we're heavily influenced by the people in our circle. If you start improving, the people in your circle will start improving. And just think, you could be the reason one of them lives 5 years longer. The dad bod should not be feared, hated. And it should not be loved. Do you know what it should be? Much like many things, it should be a term we left behind in 2008. That's my ramble for the day. It's what I've got. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, leave a mean comment. I can take it. I'm a big boy. Got a little bit too much of a dad bod, and, I'm working on it. If you don't like my face, leave a mean comment. My face is big. I have a grande cabeza. I can take it. Anyways, I'm out of time. I've enjoyed it. Hope you have too. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.